some definitions or ways to use this verb. The first way you might encounter the verb wash can mean to clean with water and soap or some kind of detergent or cleaning solution. A second way you'll encounter this verb being used can mean to do some laundry. So here we're cleaning clothes specifically. A third way you might encounter it can mean to wet or moisten something thoroughly. And then a fourth way to use the verb can mean to carry someone or something in a particular direction. This is most commonly used in connection to water. Could be rushing water, flood water, waves, but some kind of water is going to be needed for that fourth definition. A fifth way to use the verb wash can mean to brush something with a thin coat of diluted paint or ink. For now, you should know that wash is a regular verb. If you want to make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is add ing, and that forms washing. The past tense and the participle form of this verb can be made by adding an ed. Now our base verb, wash, ends in an unvoiced sh or sh sound. This means the ed ending is going to make a t sound, and we're not going to add an extra syllable when we say it. The past tense and the participle form of the verb should sound like this: washed, washed. Okay. Now let's continue our discussion of phrasal verbs with wash. Yes, in yesterday's video, we discussed 4 ways to use the phrasal verb wash out, and I have 2 more for us to discuss as we begin. So the 5th way that you can use the verb wash out can mean to eliminate or be eliminated as unsatisfactory. An example of this might be, their new manager washed out after just a month. This is an example of a simple past tense sentence, and this sentence is a little bit vague. It may mean the manager just quit after a month, like this wasn't the right job or the right role. I don't have the right skills for this. It could also mean that they were let go, and they might be intentionally a bit vague here to save face or be a little kind. Now, a 6th way you can use the verb wash out can mean to cause an event to be rained out. So think really hard rain, or maybe it has rained so much there's standing water that somehow makes it difficult to do whatever had been planned. An example of this might be, is this weather going to wash out our game? Here's an example of the simple future. We're using be going to, and this is a common phrasal verb you may encounter in various sports, particularly those that take place outside. Now let's move on and talk about the phrasal verb wash out of. The first way we can use this verb is to describe the action of washing some material in order to rid it of debris, odor, some kind of stain, something else. An example of this might be, will blood wash out of silk? So this is an example of simple future. I might be asking someone to make a bit of a prediction. Perhaps someone got a cut, bled a bit on a blouse or other piece of clothing, and now is sort of worried, like, is this so damaged? You're always going to see that stain. A second way to use wash out of could mean to cause or force someone to leave or exit something or someplace due to flooding. An example of this might be, the heavy rains washed campers out of the campground. There's another simple past tense sentence. A third way to use wash out of could mean to cause, compel, or force someone to leave a particular program or institution. An example of this could be, Organic chemistry has washed out countless pre-med students. This is an example of the present perfect. Here it's describing a particular college science course that is notoriously very, very difficult. I started college with many, many friends who were pre-med, very interested in going to medical school and becoming doctors. They took this class and they were like, I think I can find something else to do with my skills. Super smart people, but this particular class seems to cause many people to leave their planned track of studies. Our next phrasal verb we're going to discuss is wash over. We're going to discuss 3 meanings for it. One way to use it is to talk about passing over and covering someone or something. An example of this might be, waves washed over the kids while they played on the beach. So you can kind of imagine water coming ashore, maybe coming up over someone's legs, maybe if they're sitting on the ground, maybe the water's coming up to their shoulders or into their face, but it's passing over them. A second way to use wash over could mean to suddenly engulf or overwhelm a person. This is commonly used with various kinds of emotion. An example of this might be, anger washed over the crowd as they listened to the announcement. So all of a sudden, kind of like fills people with this rage. Another way to use wash over could mean to be heard or understood by someone without effect. Let's take a look at this one. This can be a little harder to understand. So, scandals wash over the country as if nothing ever happened. So, what this sentence is suggesting is that people hear this, but then they don't react, or it has no effect. I've seen examples of this phrasal verb being used to describe, I think, various characters in books who seemingly don't react, or they don't react immediately to very shocking news, maybe very sad news, like where we might expect someone to start crying. It seems to have no effect. It's not like they're particularly happy or laughing or anything, and they're just very neutral. Now, the last phrasal verb we're going to discuss is wash up. This can be used a few different ways. The first way to use this phrasal verb is to describe something becoming clean through scrubbing with soap. This is most commonly used in relation to cleaning one's face and hands. So an example of how you might hear this used could be, wash up, kids, it's dinner time. There's the imperative or a command. You can imagine a parent saying this to their children. A second way to use wash up can mean to clean dishes, utensils, pots, and pans from a meal. An example of this might be, you cooked, so I'll wash up. There's another simple future with will. Sounds like someone is making an offer with a sentence like this. This is something my spouse and I do quite frequently. So if he cooks, I'll wash, and vice versa. A third way to use wash up could mean to bring a thing onto the shore. So again, we're talking about water carrying some object. So an example like this might be, the waves have washed up a treasure. So maybe we think something valuable has been discovered on the beach or on the shore. The last way you might encounter wash up being used as a phrasal verb could mean to finish or bring something to an end. An example of this might be, he's washed up as a performer. That's in the passive voice as well, and that's pretty common with that definition. You'll hear it most commonly in the passive voice. Now, let's spend a moment talking about some phrases with our verb of the day, wash. The first one you may encounter is the phrase to come out in the wash. What it really means is something is going to be resolved eventually, and there won't be any lasting harm or sort of permanent negative effects. An example of this might be, everyone will be stressed for a bit, but it will come out in the wash. So maybe some kind of leader on a team is suggesting, like, we just have to work hard and acknowledging it'll be difficult for this period of time, but it's all going to work out, and it's not permanent. Another phrase you might encounter is to wash one's hands of something. When you hear this being used, someone is disclaiming responsibility. So they're not saying, this is not my area, I'm not responsible. That's what's being conveyed there. So an example of this might be, after years of stealing and addiction, they felt they had to wash their hands of their daughter. It's a really kind of sad example, but one I encountered as I looked for some different usages and examples in blogs and other news-related sites. But here, unfortunately, parents in a particular story were kind of saying, like, we've got to walk away, we've tried to help, things are not getting any better, and we just need to sort of separate and distance ourselves from this adult child. A third way you might hear wash used can mean to wash one's mouth out. Sometimes you might hear that phrase, wash someone's mouth out with soap. Usually people use this as an admonishment after someone has used profane language. I think swear words, bad words is another way. So an example of how you might hear this used, are we going to have to wash your mouth out? So this might be a parent or a teacher suggesting this to a child. And I think a long time ago, I feel like I've heard some older adults in my life, so as they were maybe being raised in the 40s or 50s, this was something that may have been happening to them if their parent overheard them say a naughty or bad word. Well, I hope yesterday's video and today's has made it a little bit easier to understand the multitude of ways that we can use the verb wash. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.